Well, hello and welcome everybody to the New Health Conversation. And for all the censors out there on community guidelines, we absolutely stick within community guidelines. At the New Health Conversation, we only quote from medical studies, from peer-reviewed human trial studies, of which we have 10 of them here. Everything is in the public record. Everything is safe. Everything is backed by medical proof. We don't make claims. Other people on TikTok and social media, they make claims. We don't do that. We've also written 4 best-selling books with some of the top medical doctors in the world. So I just wanted to clarify that we don't make any claims. Everything we share with people is real. Well, hello everyone. Hello Kelly. Hello Holly. Hello CYR. Hello Ruth. That is real. That's the cover of Women's World magazine. I coached those 2 women. Imagine a mom and daughter, they lost total 140 pounds. The daughter, about 51 pounds in about 3 months. The mom lost over 90, she's 80 years old. She lost over 90 pounds in about 9 months. Both of them have kept it off for 2.5 years. This is not a diet. It's not counting calories. It's totally different. It was actually invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world, and you're going to be shocked when you find out how they did it. It's not a product. There's no products. There's no lotions, potions, pills, capsules, shots, nothing like that. It'll sound so simple when you find it out, but yet it was so complicated. The researchers who created this, who don't have any products to sell, let's be clear, we don't have any products to sell. What they did, lots of people joining now. Let's see, Ruth Felly, Tanja, Simba, user 581. Hello, everybody. What we're going to talk about. Oh, AJ's on. Good morning, AJ. AJ, let me know. So today had to be, or the other day had to be, I think yesterday might have been day 12. I'm wondering how you did. Hello, Alita. Hello, Rose. Hello, Harriet. So what I want to point out to all of you that this was based on this new principle called nutrition. No, I'm kidding. It's not a new principle. Of course not. But what they figured out after 40 years of research, over 100 studied, thousands of people, diets were absolutely a failure for one reason. Instead of concentrating on calories, which they admitted they never should have done, it always was about nutrition. And the body, what they found was the body has a certain amount of nutrition that it runs on. That means the brain has enough fuel to run the heart, the kidney, the liver, all the organs. Organs don't run on calories, they run on nutrients. So what they figured out when they put people on diets, or any diet you're on now, you're reducing the amount of food you're consuming. What else you're reducing? Nutrition. When that happens, the brain goes in starvation mode and forces the body to burn your muscles, not the energy stored in your fat cells. When you begin to burn muscle for fuel, it's so inefficient. The body slows down that process of metabolism. That's why you initially lose weight on a diet, and then it slows down, then you plateau, then you come off the diet, and you gain everything back. I'm going to show you the medical proof behind that. But effectively, these two women are going to be pace setters. They're going to be famous because they were, well, they've been now 10, 12 years of studies, thousands of people have done it, and they prove that this works. Now, let me explain to you how simple it is, and yet it'll seem like it's complicated. So the researchers said, this was a theory, can we give you less quantity of food, but find foods with huge amounts of nutrition? Does that make sense to everybody? So they put together a grocery list. These 2 women got a grocery list. Only 30% of what they consumed came from the grocery store, okay? Proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. And instead of giving them calorie counts, they give them serving sizes. You can read their story. If you get the magazine, you can read the full story about what they did and how they did it. But I'm explaining to you now because I coached them, okay? And then so, in addition, so 30% of the food they consumed came from the grocery store. The other 70% came from from other researchers who'd gone around the world for 20 years to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. Doesn't that sound simple? It's like, oh, that's simple. No, it wasn't that simple. Because then they had the ingredients, but based on this new approach, which had nothing to do with how much food people were consuming, everything to do with how much nutrition they were getting. They were able to put together 2 new ways for you to eat. 5 days a week, essentially, you eat 4 times a day. You start with these, I call them the exotic foods that come from around the world. That's your breakfast, no food from the grocery store. lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and your last meal of the day from these exotic foods around the world. So imagine 5 days a week, you're on a diet 5 days a week, you're eating 4 times a day. Of course, this isn't a diet. It doesn't work anything like a diet, and I'll explain all that to you in a moment. So 5 days a week, they're having 4 meals a day, starting with exotic foods, a regular lunch from the grocery store list, a dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal from these exotic foods around the world that you can't buy at your grocery store. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. This time you get to eat 8 times a day. You heard me. You're eating something about every hour and a half. And in so doing that, you're balancing nutrition. It's actually called protein pacing, both 5 days a week and this, because you're balancing out the nutrition. In her case, in their cases, they, like I said, they were eating every hour and a half they had 8 feedings in 24 hours, and the results are what the results are. Now, let me show you some other people that had amazing results. Now, also, you'll notice right above the article, above Women's World, see it there in blue, the new health conversation. It's a free medical website where you all can go. We won't contact you. We don't do that. We want the medical proof, which is there. What's there? The medical studies. There's an interview with the #1 nutritional weight loss physiologist in the whole world, and he'll explain it to you. He'll just say, look, after 40 years, we'll never recommend any form of traditional diet again. They basically said it'd be unethical. Why would we put people on diets that would take you 8 weeks of torture, where up to 25 to 40% of what people lost when they measured it, the researchers now, was lean muscle mass. Every person lost weight initially, didn't matter what the diet was, but then they gradually, not only did they lose it back, but 2/3 gained more weight than they lost. So this was a great departure. Now I'm going to show you the next person here. Look at this. This is exactly 30 days. 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches. Now you can think it's photoshopped. It's not. But look at from her hips up. Look at how many of you would love to have a sort of reframing, a rebooting of your body. Because one of the things about this, if you do go to the website, let me go back and show it to all of you again. It's free to go there. The New Health Conversation, we won't contact you. But you notice this is right about free coaching to ensure your success. The coaching is free the whole time. No gimmicks, no tricks. You can scroll down and get a free coach the whole time. Okay? And if you go to that website, the only thing there really is the medical proof for you to see how they did it, why they did it, and it's backed up. The medical studies are there. You can literally click on them. Now, they're peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. They're not scientific papers. They're not clinical trials. They're done on human beings at the highest level of scrutiny that exists in medicine. For example, no prescription drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. Does this make sense to everybody? Of Beauty, user 501, Gifted, J.M. Bohr, Plea, I believe that is, Malik, Jay joined, Hydenk joined. All right, I'm going to show you some of these other amazing transformation. So, by the way, that's with no exercise allowed. She lost 21 pounds, 38.75 inches in just 30 days. Look, I know right now I'm doing 3 or 4 of these podcasts a day. If you're not skeptical, you're not being truthful. But again, what takes the skepticism away is the fact you can go and see the medical proof that, #1, it's safe. #2, nothing's made up, because when you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, they're in the public domain and they're published by the journals. It's not by the researchers. That's the problem. You'll see these scientific papers are published by they haven't been scrutinized. All right. Now this next one is even more crazy, not crazy but good. Look at Julie. That's 35 pounds in 37 days. 35 pounds. Look at it from her neck down. Look at the change in her body. A lot of people think it's a different woman. I'd love for anybody to put in the chat. Do you think it's the same woman? Hi, Trish. Hello, Flower. Hello, Ron. Let me ask you this. Any of you, if you'd love to put it in the chat, if you're honest enough, if you wanted to lose 20 pounds, let alone 35 like she did in just 37 days, how long would you give yourself? Pick any diet you want. Maybe a diet you're on, maybe a diet you were on, maybe a gym, maybe a trainer, someone you want to follow. Tell me, how long would you give yourself to lose 20 pounds? I understand this is way out of the possibilities that you've ever experienced before. But, science, right? We're experiencing things Now we could have never imagined. Like GPS, how the heck does that work? I have no idea, but I sure like it, right? This is kind of the same way, except we're going to tell you exactly what they did, how they did it. Now, this is the daughter of a friend of mine. It's actually the daughter. I know her. By the way, these pictures you're looking at are 8 years from 8 or 9 years ago. They've kept the weight off for 8 or 9 years. That's a critical part of this. This whole protocol is called R2M, stands for race to maintenance. The only reason to do this, see, 6 months. Well, at least you're very honest. That's great. Thank you very much. Who else would like to comment? If you're going to lose 20 pounds, how long would you want? This next picture, you have to put in the comments. Do you think it's the same woman? Wait till you see this. That's 60 pounds in 3 months. Look at her face, look at her arms, look at her body. Is that the same woman? I'd love anybody to comment. Is it the same woman? Or do you think we photoshopped it, or we're faking it, or we AI'd it, or we photoshopped it? We didn't touch the picture. So use a 704. I'm saying hello to you too. Is that just remarkable? Now I'm going to show you the reason. A couple of reasons I want to show you the man that I'm going to show you next. He's an older gentleman. It's not just the unbelievable amount of weight he lost, but wait till you see the change in his medical records. He lost 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. That's not a misprint. He lost 40 pounds and 52.5 inches in 30 days. Look at his lab work. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's in 30 days, by the way. No exercise, and he's kept it off now for 8 years. I hope this at least is creating curiosity in all of you. Now let's go back to the starting point. This just came out on May 20th. This is the Women's World, arguably, well, I guess it is the #1 circulated women's magazine in the world. The cover, where the mom and daughter together lost 140 pounds doing this protocol. The daughter is a nurse. She's 57 years old. She lost 51 pounds in about 90 days. The mom is 80 years old. Look at how good she looks. And she lost over 90 pounds in 9 months. And 9 months ago, she couldn't climb a flight of stairs. Now she's playing pickleball 3 times a week, swimming 3 times a week, and walking 4 miles a day. She said she got her life back at 80 years old. Now, the thing that's so amazing about this is, even though the researchers didn't let anybody exercise because they didn't want exercise to be an outlier, otherwise you'd all be saying, well, of course they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. Now, let me be clear. The mom and daughter were not in the medical trials. This, for all the people I'm showing you here, were in the medical trials. So, for example, she would have worn a Fitbit to prove that she wasn't exercising. Now, they're not against exercise. Of course, you could do this and you could do exercise. But the idea was, look at these results without any exercise. How many of you think that is the same woman? How many think this is real? How many do you believe it's real, everybody? Because I'll tell you right away that there's no way you'd get on the cover of Women's World. Their prestige. I mean, they've been around, I think, for 80 years. So you talk about, this is revolutionary. That's why they did it. Normally on the cover of Women's World, you see big-time celebrities and country singers and whatever. But these are just 2 normal people. A nurse and a retired, her mom's 80 years old. But look at that, between mother and daughter. Talk about a Mother's Day present, 140 pounds between the 2 of them, and they've kept it off now. They lost their weight, it was about 2.5 years ago. They've kept it off now for 2.5 years. How many of you would love to have a result like this? And this isn't even anything compared to what some of the people did in the clinical studies. They're human. Remember, they're peer-reviewed human trial studies. That's as high as you can go in medical research. So who would like to ask me a question other than the obvious? How do they do it? So let's see here. Momov, Marverweg, C. Josie, Mr. Pugsley, Olato, Amanda, Empty Pockets, Christopher, and Berryville, all coming on. Hello, everybody. Again, let me show you. I'm going to focus on just a woman, okay? And then we'll talk about how did she do it, because I know we have a lot of new people coming on. So that is not Photoshop. That is real. That was with no exercise. The most significant thing, can you imagine she lost, look at it, do the math. She lost 5 pounds a week, 38 inches from her neck to her ankles. But look at the change in her body composition. Look at really from her hips up. that area, abdomen, stomach, diaphragm. Look at how much she shrank. Now, the thing about this is that one of the main benefits of it, because the researchers who created this, who have no products to sell, there's no products here. This is food. So the researchers who did this, it's important that you understand how did this get invented, who invented it. It's not a company. They don't have a company. They don't have any products. They're considered the top weight loss nutrition researchers in the world. After 40 years of research, 100 studies, thousands of people, they figured out the real simple reason why diets can't and don't work long run. All a diet is has nothing to do with counting calories, by the way, because the human body has no idea what a calorie is. To prove it to you, I'd love for anybody to put in the chat, give me the definition of a calorie. At any moment, any time, type it in the chat. In a year's time, I've had 3 people that got it correct. I didn't know what it was 23 years ago, and yet you're all on diets counting calories. It's the most ridiculous thing we've ever come up with because the human body has no idea what a calorie is, and it certainly doesn't count them. So the researchers said, here was the fallacy of all diets. That really well, first of all, you need to understand something from the way the body works. The body needs a certain amount, not of calories. It needs a certain amount of nutrition in order to run the brain, the heart, the kidney, the liver, all of our organs. Our organs run on nutrition. It don't run on calories, okay? So what you do when you go on a diet, I don't care what they call it. I don't care. You might call it counting calories. It's not, but that's okay. You're reducing the amount of food you're consuming. Well, think about it. When you reduce the amount of food you're consuming, what else you're reducing? Nutrition. When your brain senses there's not enough nutrition, it goes in starvation mode and prevents you from accessing the fuel in your fat cells and turns to your muscles instead. And then that does, by losing muscle mass, which happens on every one of these diets, it does 2 of the most unhealthy things to you. 1, it slows down your metabolism. But not just your metabolism like when you're working out running, but something called your basal metabolic rate. That's the rate at which you burn calories when you're at rest, so like 23 hours a day. That's really what controls your weight. So that slows down. But the other thing it's doing to you by losing lean muscle mass, it also slows down your own immune system. So you're literally making yourself unhealthy by any of these diets. So you're great. You're fitting your skinny jeans. You lost 20 pounds. What weight did you really lose? So the researchers said, the only way this could work, if we're going to give people less food, we got to find foods, different foods that have huge amounts of nutrition. That's what they set out to do. Now, did they know it was going to work? Because these studies started about 13 years ago. That's how long these peer-reviewed human trial studies sometimes take to get published and out into the public domain. So the researchers, what they did, they had 2 different groups of food that people got. 30% of what she got or bought from her grocery store: proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits, but only 30%. The other 70% came from these from other researchers, not them and not from us. You don't buy anything from us. But these researchers have gone around the world to Russia, Mongolia, to Tibet and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantity. Okay? So 30% of what she bought came from the grocery store. 70% you would buy then from these researchers from around the world. So now you had the ingredients, but you don't have the recipe. They created the recipe. These researchers did, not me. And what she did, 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic meals for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods from around the world. Okay? That was 5 days a week, 4 meals a day. That's called protein pacing. 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she ate 8 times a day. She was eating every hour and a half. What was amazing on this, no one was hungry, because your hunger comes from lack of nutrition. It doesn't come from lack of calories, just in case you didn't know. So she was getting all the nutrition. It didn't matter the quantity. As long as she got enough nutrition, that's the only thing that mattered. Now, this program is called R2M, Race to Maintenance, because it's not about getting the weight off. Obviously, we can do that. That's not even a problem. But the key is to teach you how to maintain it for the rest of your life. Now, let me go back and show all of you where you can find out more information for free. Right above the article there, you can see it says the New Health Conversation. That's a free medical website. There's nothing there to buy. We won't contact you. If you go there, you get to go there and see the medical proof backing up everything I'm talking about, everything you're looking at there, and all these before and afters that I'm showing you. Nobody else that I can find on social media has one shred of medical evidence. And yet you're all following them. They're nice people. I'm not going to disparage them. There's medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists and fitness people and weight loss coaches. But we have 80% of America overweight and 50% are obese and 50% are pre-diabetic. Does that sound like to any of you that diets are working? And I've got more evidence I'll show you even from Harvard Medical School, from major studies, including Medicare, saying essentially diets don't work. Oh, really? Go to Walmart, go to Kmart, go to Target. There's your evidence. Do diets work? Or go back to the 1970s. Look at a photo from 1970 of people on a beach, and then look at people in 2024. This is a calamity. This is insanity what we're doing. And yet we have more diets than ever before, and yet we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger every single year. Heck, I got a study here from Johns Hopkins Medical School. Listen to this. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. So the key here is once you get, okay, let's see. You're very close, Amanda. Very close. It's a little, you need to be a little bit more specific. And it's not, like I said, Amanda, you're very, very close. See if you can make it more succinct as far as the definition goes, okay? Now, in addition to Kristen here, well, let me ask you something. Somebody was already brave enough to post, if you wanted to lose 20 pounds, say you're not in this podcast, whether it's Amanda or Noah or Mary or Irene or Tosh Crow or Omaji or Harry Alley's, how long would you give yourself to lose 20 pounds? Pick any diet, any trainer, anybody on the internet you want to see. How long would you give yourself to lose 20 pounds? I'd love for you to put it in the chat. Kathy J. Nelson, hello. Now that is, again, 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days, and no one was allowed to exercise. And this is not a product. There's no products here. This is food in totally new ways of consuming food. And if you want to, if you desire, right above the, by the way, this is the cover of Women's World, the #1 women's magazine in the world. The cover of this story just came out on May 20th of this mom and daughter who lost 140 pounds on this protocol. And they've kept it off now for 2.5 years. But it's, I'm going to explain it to you all in a moment. But what I want you to see is right above Women's World, you can see the new health conversation. That's a free medical website you can go to, see all the medical proof. We won't contact you. But you notice above the where it says the new health conversation, that's free coaching. The coaching is 100% free, not just initially to go over your questions that you may have after you go to the website, but then they'll coach you the whole time through, not just to get the weight off you. I coach these two women. I know them, okay? So I coach them, but everybody gets a coach. And the idea was once they got their weight off, then how did they maintain it really for the rest of their lives? I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. This definitely works. It's not a diet, please, everybody. It is not a diet. It has nothing to do with counting calories. That is, counting calories is finished, it's over, and I'll show you the medical proof here in just a moment. But let's look at a couple more pictures real quick on this protocol. This is Julie, 35 pounds in 37 days. Now, you may think that's a different woman. If you look at the picture on the left and you look at the picture on the right, I mean, just look at, I don't have to say much. Look at her body. Look at the shrinkage. And where's the loose skin? No loose skin. Now, this is the daughter. This one definitely, people think it's a different girl, a lady, woman, sorry. This is the daughter of a friend of mine. So look at this, everyone. 60 pounds in 3 months. 60. But look at her, I'm just telling you, look at her body composition, right? Oh, I got allergies today. Excuse me, everybody. So I'd love anybody to comment. Do you think it's the same? Do you think it's the same woman? Let's just say that. Any of you are free to comment. Look, our job is to make you aware. We're not here to sell you or convince you about anything. You have a free website. You can go and see the medical proof, and you make a decision. If you want to learn more, the free coaches, they're free. There's no gimmicks. There's no tricks. But I'd love anybody to comment on that. Is it the same woman? What do you think? What do you think about that transformation? Unless we photoshopped it or we did AI, which we didn't do. So I'd love for anybody to comment on her picture. What do you think? At a minimum, if that's real, is it unbelievable? Is that just completely unbelievable? Hello, Lynn Foley. A joined, Etta B, Vincenza, Thumbelina joined, Julie, Nikki, Letitia, Kathy J. Nelson, Harry's allies. So again, everybody, what do you think about that? That is 90 days, 60 pounds. That's 5 pounds a week consistently for 3 months. Well, she didn't really need to lose any more weight beyond that. And I know her. She's the daughter of a friend of mine, and she's been able to keep it off now for about 8 years. I know what I'm showing you. It looks like science fiction, and you're 99% of you are going to go back to paleo or keto or Mediterranean or think this guy's full of it, whatever. I'm a nutritional researcher for 23 years. I've written 4 best-selling books, some of the biggest medical doctors in the world. I did 20 shows on PBS. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. I did over 1,500 live lectures around the world, including being a keynote at Autism One in Chicago, one of the biggest autism conferences in the world, 2 years in a row. You don't get invited to those kind of things if you're. I've never had to make up anything. And now we have this. It's called irrefutable medical proof. There's 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies proving that this works. But the biggest thing for all of you, it's not just that it works, it's safe and maintenance. Because when you see this, here's the real reason to do it. This is an older gentleman. That's not a misprint. He lost 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. But look at his lab work, everybody. That's what should get your attention. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's in 30 days. 30. Has anybody ever seen anything like that before? I mean, in the studies, okay, in a month's time, in these medical studies, the ones I keep referring to, the 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, people's hunger came down 41% in a month. 41% in a month. But blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically. But here's the big one you all should be really excited about. Inflammation, which has been identified in the medical world as the underlying cause of every disease out there. It came down in 30 days for the first time ever. It was measured. No diets ever produced this. It came down 25% in a month. I know it sounds too good to be true because I get the pushback every day when I do 3 or 4 live podcasts a day, or at least I try to. There's nothing like this on the planet. And Brad Peterson and Leah and Lemongrass and User 251. Lots of new people coming on. Oh, my allergies are killing me today for some reason. Sorry, everybody. So again, let's go over. The big question always is, okay, get to the point. How did they do it? But this is not just some simple answer. Don't you want to know how in the world, how did Kristen do this? I mean, how many of you would be excited if you could lose 20 pounds in a month? Because I normally get, when I'll ask anybody else, the new people coming on, if you were going to lose 20 pounds, be honest, you don't know about this, how long would you give yourself to lose 20 pounds? Pick any trainer, pick any diet, pick any program, any protocol on the planet. How long would you give yourself? I know the biggest thing I'm fighting here is skepticism. I get it. I support it. But the thing that disarms the skepticism are the 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies in the biggest medical journals in the world. Now, some of you may not know a peer-reviewed human trial study, there's nothing higher in medical research. You'll hear the term on TV, they did a scientific paper. This is a scientifically proven ingredient in this product. This is not products, by the way. But you have to understand those don't mean anything. Unless they're done on human beings and they're reviewed by other independent researchers who didn't do the studies, that's what peer review means. No drug ever is approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. So what I'm saying to all of you is that is safe, it's real, and would you be excited if that could happen to any of you? I'd love for someone to put it in the chat. So more people, Miss C, Rapids, Teeny, and Keeping Crystal. So what did she do? How is this possible? It's not a product. As a matter of fact, the researchers who created this, they don't have any products. They don't have a company. They're scientists who for 40 years had done over 100 studies on thousands of people on every diet out there. And they came to one conclusion, that diets are miserable failures long term. They found that all the people they had, no matter what the diet name was, people lost weight initially. And then they plateaued. And then when they stopped the diet, 2/3 of them ended up weighing more than when they started. So they said, well, something's wrong with the methodology. And they were testing paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, fasting, Cornish diet, the zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, testing them all, trying to find something that worked long-term. No one's arguing that you can lose weight initially, but you're telling me you go through all that heartache and all that degradation. Wow, we got 36 likes. Can we get some more taps up there? So we got Dragonfly, Vicious Trollop, I guess that is, Amanda. Hello, everybody. So the researchers said we got to do something different. What we're discussing for the new people coming on is how did she lose 21 pounds in a month, 38 inches? Not with a pill, lotion, potion, not with products, with food. So the researchers they put together new food combinations. Only 30% of what she consumed came from the grocery store. Proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. And instead of giving her calorie counts, they gave her serving sizes. But only 30% of what she consumed was what she ate in a month. Got it? The other 70% of what she consumed didn't come from the researchers, didn't come from us, came from other researchers from around the world who'd gone to Russia, to Mongolia, to Tibet, South America, New Zealand. Why did they go there? To find foods that had huge amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. So now they had the ingredients, right? 30% of what she consumed, food, not a product. 70% these other exotic foods from around the world. Then 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods from around the world, okay? That was breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store list that you would get. Dinner from the grocery store list that you would get. And after dinner, these exotic foods from around the world. That was 5 days a week, 4 meals a day. 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. On those days, no food in the grocery store, only these exotic foods from around the world. But this time, she ate them. She had fed 8 times a day. Yes. So she was eating every hour and a half. Diabetics thrived on this. There were no insulin spikes. As a matter of fact, in a month's time, insulin in the diabetics who were monitored by their doctors came down 41% in a month. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or making any medical proclamations. All we're doing is sharing with you what's in the medical studies that you all can go and see for free on the website, which I'll show you in just one moment. Kathy J. Nelson, is this fasting? Amber, no, not fasting, Amber. Hold on again, everybody. Gosh, I don't know why today I got allergies of all days. Okay, so Kathy and Amber and everybody, let me explain it to you again. The researchers effectively said the only thing your body cares about, it doesn't even know what a calorie is. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Somebody started to put the definition, they were really close, but there's more to the definition than what she had stated. So what the researchers figured out, the reason diets don't work is pretty simple. When you go on a diet, whatever you want to call it, you're getting less food. Everybody got that? You're still eating food, but you're eating less. Well, what they don't tell you is when you get less food, what else are you getting less of? Nutrition. And since your body only runs on nutrition, when you go on a diet, the brain thinks you're starving to death and begins to convert your muscles into fuel and does 2 of the most unhealthy things to you, not for you, to you. First, it slows down your metabolism. That's why you lose weight initially on these diets, as you all know, and then it drops to a trickle. Then you're plateaued. No matter what you do, you can't lose any weight. Then you quit and you go find another diet. But in the meantime, you've 2/3 of you weigh more than when you started. Those are the medical studies, not the government, the medical studies. So the researchers said, wait a minute, is it possible? Could we give you less food, but find new food groups that have huge amounts of nutrition? That's what they set out to do. So they limited what she consumed here to 30% of the food from the grocery store. These are the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world that put this together. And they picked the foods, but instead of giving her calorie counts, they gave her serving sizes. It's very important. So she had proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. A wide variety of things that they could all eat, but limited quantities. The other 70%, here was the magic. came, 70% of what she consumed did not come from foods in the United States. It came from these exotic foods from places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, that represented huge amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. So now she had the ingredients. And like Amber was asking me, is this fasting? You're going to find out in a moment why it's not. 5 days a week. Well, listen to this, Amber. 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods from around the world. That was breakfast, no food from the grocery store, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal after dinner, these exotic foods, hardly fasting. Now, the part you may have gotten tripped up on when I said 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent, listen to the next word, nutritional fasting, not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods from around the world. Listen to this, Amber. She ate those foods 8 times a day. Yep. So she was fasting with nutrition. I know it's a totally new concept that spins people out. But there's the result. Amber, look at that result. Unless you think we're lying or we got a different model or whatever. That picture's 8 years old. She's kept the weight up for 8 years. But she's not the only one. This is the tip of the iceberg. Now, the key to this is not that we can get the weight off you. It's teaching you how to keep it off for the rest of your life. Amber, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. That's what you should be excited about. Now, let me show you a couple more before and afters. This next one is Julie. Everybody, she lost 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at the change in her body composition. You could never do that fasting. You could never do that on a diet. This isn't a diet. This is revolutionary. Every diet you're on now is totally obsolete, whether you know it or not. It's obsolete. Because on all these diets, what are you losing? Up to 40% of what you're losing is your lean muscle mass, which is going to slow down your metabolism. You're going to gain all the weight back and more. And I'll show you the medical proof here in just a second. So what do you all think about that? So Amber, do you understand now why it's not fasting? Please give me a yes or no in there. And gosh, I'm just having a terrible time today. My darn allergies. I flew in last night. I gave a big talk in Phoenix yesterday. And sometimes I get on planes for no reason. I just start sneezing. And so I apologize to everybody. I'm a human being. Now you at least know it's live. It's not pre-recorded, okay? But so Catherine, I tried them all. How does this work? So Kathy, does that make sense? Amber, do you understand why it's not fasting? We had toxins and malnutrition, it seemed. Yes. As a matter of fact, it's great that you brought that up, Dragonfly. Everybody, here's what you need to really be concerned about. A new medical syndrome that I have and you have and every person in the world. It's called the TDOS syndrome. It's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. The T is for toxic chemicals that we're storing in our body. Deficiency of nutrition is not allowing our body to help get rid of these chemicals. It causes us to be overweight and stressed. And you can see, Peter Greenlaw, that's me. I did discover this medical syndrome. It's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. We're drinking, breathing, and eating chemicals. And I'm not sure all of you saw the big study that came out about 4 weeks ago saying they're finding microplastics in our brain and in our coronary arteries. But also what we now know we're storing in our body are herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and flame retardants. And I'll read you from the latest research here in just a moment. But I want to make sure that all of you understand, we got 2,000 likes already. Let's get some more taps on the screen. So I'd love for anybody to tell me, well, let me show you this. This is the daughter of a friend of mine, and I'd love everybody to comment. Mostly, am I lying to you? And secondly, is that the same woman? Please, anybody, I welcome comments. I'm a very nice person. I love having open discussions with the audience that's on my podcast, and it's great. My only thing is, there's no reason to call me names, and you can disagree with me. That's fine. But unless you've got peer-reviewed human trial studies, unless you have medical proof to back up what you're claiming, you're going to have a pretty tough time. It's not my research, everybody, but these 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies back up what she's doing, not just proving what she did is working, but it's safe. The biggest thing about this is that people are not losing lean muscle mass. As a matter of fact, like in her case or any of the other pictures I've showed you, they weren't allowed to exercise. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they didn't exercise. Why? Were the researchers against exercise? No, but they didn't want exercise to be an outlier. Then you say, oh, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. Now, if you want to exercise, and I'll show you an athlete in a moment, of course you can exercise. But imagine if you produce this kind of result. What? Hold on. That picture, Matthew? Let's see. Where's the photo? Is that the picture you're talking about, Matthew? It's not Photoshop, so let me just say that. The blonde woman. Where does it say Photoshop? That's the cover of Women's. Is that who we're talking about, Matthew? That's the cover of Women's World, the #1 women's magazine in the world. I have nothing to do with that picture. Bottom right corner. Is that the picture there, Matthew? Bottom right corner, 2 pics side by side. Are we talking about, let's see. Is that the one you're talking about? Well, I can tell you, it's not Photoshop. That's the actual picture. I don't know why that says that. Hey, that's cool. I never saw that before, but we're not making it up. I see what you're saying there. That says photo, but I don't think that's Photoshopped. I think I'll look that up. I mean, I know this person. They lost the weight 8 years ago. They've kept it off for 8 years. And again, like I said, I see the problem is that I agree with you. People would think, oh, that's Photoshopped. It's not the real picture. It's the real picture. But I'll get that corrected. Thank you for that. Well, it has the Photoshop watermark. Huh. Well, I'll find out. I'll find out for sure. But I know this particular person. I know what they went through. I know all these people that you're looking at here, and nothing was Photoshopped. I mean, again, this right here, this one right here, Matthew, that's the daughter of a friend of mine. And I mean, all I can tell you is that these are real pictures, right? Matthew, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. Do I look fat to you? I've kept the weight off for 23 years. I mean, I know it's hard to believe that something like this actually exists. Well, that's nice of you to say that. Well, Matthew, of course. Look, Matthew, here's the point. I've been a nutritional researcher for 23 years. I've written 4 best-selling books. I've done 20 shows on PBS. I appeared on 4 of the biggest daytime shows in America and over 1,500 live lectures around the world. I've spoken in universities. I've spoken in hospitals. I've spoken in towns. I was a keynote speaker at Autism One in Chicago, one of the biggest autism conferences in the world. If I was going around tricking people, I would get exposed pretty darn quickly. And I am going to look into that. That's very interesting. I've never seen that before. But I know that particular, unless they cropped it to fit into in the picture. I don't know, because my web people are the ones that posted those for me, right? So who else would like to ask me a question? I mean, what do you all, now, wait till you see this one, Matthew. Hang on. This is an older gentleman, Matthew. Give me your comment. What do you think about that, Matthew? That's 40 pounds, 52 inches in 30 days. No Photoshop there. And day 1, day 30. But look at his lab work, 8.4 to 6.4. Triglycerides, 242 to 124. See, the other thing, Matthew, is all what I'm showing you is backed up in these peer-reviewed human trial studies published in the biggest medical journals in the entire world. In the entire world. So you can't fake that kind of stuff. It's in the public domain, and these are in like the Obesity Journal, Frontiers in Physiology, Nutrients, the Nutrition Journal, Frontiers in Nutrition, and Nature Communications is the #1 medical journal in the entire world. So you can't, because when you turn over your research to those journals, then it's their baby, and they review it, but they don't actually review it. They send it to other world-class experts. That's why this is so significant that no other people in the world are doing that. Right? Okay, so Chelsea, what are the foods these people ate? Where can we get them? Okay, so let's go back to that first, all right? So, Chelsea. Sir, I just called out Griffiths. I know this industry very well. I don't, you're not accusing me of being a grifter, are you? I mean, you can certainly do that if you want to, but this is completely real, okay? So, because again, you can go, Matthew, go to the website, The New Health Conversation. There's an interview with the number one nutrition research physiologist in the world. They're the ones that created this. So you talk about, and the medical studies are there, okay? So what you have to understand, the people you're referring to, I've never seen one of them, whatever they were claiming, that had one shred of medical evidence. One shred, a peer-reviewed human trial study. So again, I think the difference between myself and anybody else is we only rely on medical proof, okay? So Chelsea, what they did, let's come back to Kristen for just a moment, okay? So what they did for her, for all these people I'm showing you, the researchers who created this, right? Not me. I didn't create it, all right? It's not my protocol. What they did, they broke foods down into two different groups. 30% of the food she consumed, she got a grocery list, Chelsea, from the store. Proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables, right? But only 30% of what she consumed, and they gave her, instead of calorie counts of those foods, they gave her serving sizes. Does that make sense? The other 70% came from foods that came from around the world, not supplied by the researchers. They don't have any products. They don't sell anything. We don't sell you anything. You buy either directly from your grocery store. Here's a grocery list that you get. We give it to you. And then the coaches will show you, because the coaching's free. And the coaches will show you how to order these other foods from around the world. They came from Mongolia and Russia and Tibet in the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. They represented huge amounts of quantity of nutrition, but not huge quantities of food. So then what they did, Chelsea, is they created two new ways of consuming the food. 5 days a week, she and everybody else had 4 meals a day. They started with the world's most perfect meal for breakfast. Lunch came from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a fourth meal after dinner from these exotic foods around the world. So 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. Then 2 days a week, she did something called, listen to me carefully, intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods from around the world. But this time she ate 8 times a day, Chelsea. She was eating every hour and a half. Do you know in the studies in the first 30 days, hunger came down 41%? In 2 weeks, people's cravings pretty much went away. And in a month's time, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically. And for the first time ever, they measured inflammation, which the medical world now says is the underlying cause of pretty much every disease out there. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or making a medical proclamation. We're just reading from the medical studies. In the studies, they measured inflammation. It came down 25% in a month. See, if you're going on this to lose weight, you already get the wrong idea. It's not about the weight you're going to lose. It's about the health improvement that you can potentially have. But I mean, again, obviously it's very dramatic when you can lose, basically 5 pounds a week and keep it off. That's a really big deal, right? Now, let me show you all what happens. None of these people were allowed to exercise. So you understand. They wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising because the researchers didn't want exercise to be an outlier. Otherwise, it would have been diet and exercise. So let's take a look at an athlete now. This is exactly 11 days. This is not someone who needs to lose weight, and this is someone who did work out. So day 1, pretty good shape. Now, when it says day 5, that's the morning of day 5. That's 4 days total from picture day 1 to day 5. And then from day 5 to day 12, again, the morning of day 12, 11 days, look at that transformation. You think that happens on a diet or the gym? I defy you to go to a gym and try and create that kind of a result in 11 days. It's not possible. This is real. Now you can say, oh, he photoshopped it. Whatever. That's my youngest son. Now you can think I photoshopped it, but we don't have to Photoshop anything. The reason we don't have to Photoshop things, you can go and see the medical proof right there, the new health conversation. The new health conversation. It's absolutely, all the medical proof is there, including an interview with the #1 nutritional research physiologist in the world who created this, and they don't have any products to sell. There's no product. This is food done in completely new ways that no one's ever seen before. I coached these two women. Yeah, they really did lose 140 pounds. The daughter she lost 51 pounds in about 90 days. The mom lost 91 pounds in about 9 months. She's 80 years old. And 9 months ago, she couldn't even climb a flight of stairs. Now she's playing pickleball 3 times a week, swimming 3 times a week, and walking about 4 miles a day. This is not a diet, everybody. Diets are dead. Diets are doomed. Diets are finished. I mean, when anybody, Chelsea, you just go to the New Health Conversation. Do you see it there right above her head? And right above her head, you can see there, Chelsea, it says the New Health Conversation. Go there, look at the medical proof. Only if you like what we won't contact you, Chelsea, if you go there unless you scroll down and get a free coach. And the coaching's free. It's not some gimmick. The other thing I didn't even tell you, and Matthew didn't hear this as well, that I lost my train of thought. So 30% of what they bought or you would buy, you'd go to your grocery store, you get a grocery list, as I went over. But the other 70%, I failed to mention that those, the suppliers who supplied those foods to the research, in the first 30 days, that 70% of what you'd spend, they'll give you 100% of your money back if it doesn't work. That's how confident they are. Now, nothing's 100% of course. But who's doing that? Are you doing that if you go in keto or paleo or Mediterranean, or you're buying recipes from these people telling you can lose 20 pounds in a month and most of it's fat? They don't have one shred of medical evidence. See, that's the difference. If you're going to be a grifter, then you don't have peer-reviewed human trial studies. Because again, it's not my research. The cool thing about it is when you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, end of the discussion. It's what's called irrefutable medical proof for all of you. So Chelsea, you do see the right there in blue, the New Health Conversation, and you understand, you just scroll down and you truly get a free coach the whole time. Because here's the key for everybody. It's not about can we get the weight off you, it's about the maintenance part. It's like, can you keep it off for the rest of your life? Like I repeated, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. I understand that I would support someone like Matthew. I just boil it down to this. If any of the people that you're following, you believe what they're saying and they don't have peer-reviewed human trial studies, that's the problem. There's no basis for what they're claiming. None. Zero basis. This, 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies in the biggest medical journals in the world. It's irrefutable evidence. It's not up for debate. It's not like, hey, let's have a discussion about it. It's already been reviewed by the top medical and researchers in the entire world, right? So who else would like, wow, we got 3,400 likes. Thank you all very, very much. But let's come back to Kristen for a moment because I know we got new people coming on all the time. But before I tell you how she did that, let's contrast that to the medical proof about counting calories. The one thing, anybody on here right now, I'm going to prove to you, counting calories is finished, dead, and over. And let's start first with Harvard Medical School, okay? Remember, nothing that I'm sharing with you is my opinion, okay? Are grifters showing you this kind of stuff? No. Harvard Medical School, stop counting calories. Most people have been taught, this is Harvard Medical School, everyone, has been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories 3,500 and you lose a pound. But as it turned out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. The idea, this is Harvard again, Harvard Medical School, the idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said, it's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's exactly what these researchers did, and they don't have anything to do with Harvard. The whole concept of counting calories is dead, it's finished, and it's over. Let me give you some more evidence. Here's another big study. The title of it says it all. Why you shouldn't count calories. Listen to what they said. Our researchers found that while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. They went on to say, counting calories increases chronic psychological stress and cortisol production, two factors that are known to cause weight gain, okay? Now, let's look at one more big study here titled The Science Behind Why Diets Don't Work, okay? Our researchers reviewed more than 30 long-term studies on calories in, calories out, and determined that the calorie in, calorie out diets, or diets in general, actually cause weight gain. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's associated with increased risk of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. Why are you doing the diets you're on? They're doomed. They're over. They're finished. Don't have to believe me. Let's go. Now, this is sort of the crowning glory here. This is a new study from Medicare. They're trying to bring healthcare costs down. The title of the study, again, should say it all to you. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. Our researchers, this is Medicare talking, our researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calories in, calories out restrictive diets to assess whether these diets are an effective treatment for obesity, okay? They went on to say, the study showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any of these diets. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. Why are you counting calories to lose weight? Every one of these diets are miserable failures. The researchers who created this, they did 40 years of research, 100 studied thousands of people. That's what they came to the conclusion. There was no doubt you could lose weight on any diet that they ever studied. But 2/3 of the people ended up more after they were done. Long term, ended up weighing more than when they started. Why do a diet in the first place? You're going down exactly the wrong alley. Plus, the other thing you're completely ignoring that no diet up till now has ever done is you all, including me, have this medical syndrome. Matthew, every person, TDOS, T for toxicity, D, nutritional deficiency of nutrients, overweight, and stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. That's a really big deal. Yeah, I did discover it, but that's not what's important. What's important is the science. You don't have to believe me. Look at a month ago, they came out and said we're finding microplastics in our brain and in the coronary arteries in our hearts. What? What? Yeah, that's what's going on. How's that sound to you? That sound pretty good? This whole thing is nuts. This whole thing is crazy. What's going on? We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger as a society. I mean, all the numbers that's what's going on. But let me read one other thing. This is the scientific explanation of why calorie counting doesn't work. The biggest failing of the calories in, calories out formula is it ignores that the body adjusts its control system when calorie intake is reduced. So while the formula, calories in, calories out, can support people achieving weight loss initially, the reduction in energy intake ensures the lost weight will be regained. You talk about scammers. They're putting you on diets that are going to cause you to gain weight. At a minimum, you're going to go back to where you started. What are you doing? You're doing what we've all been told, what's in the press, what's on social media. And they're nice people, and I don't want to disparage medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists and weight loss people, but it's not working. When Johns Hopkins Medical School, I've got it right here. This is Johns Hopkins Medical School study. Listen to what they said. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Talk about grifters. Hello. Welcome. Newsflash. How in the hell is what you're doing working long term? It's not. It's not. How about her? How many of you would give anything to lose 20 pounds, let alone in a month, right? So, sir, I just called it. So who else would like to ask me a question? So Matthew, I'm still curious if you're still on, etc. I mean, I hope you understand that nothing that Matthew, number one, it's not my research. Let's start with that. Number two, you can go look and see the medical proof yourself. We don't have to make up anything. That's what's so great about what we do. We only rely on medical proof, okay? I've also written 4 best-selling books to some of the top medical doctors in the world and appeared 20 times on PBS. You don't get on there if you're a grifter. I'm not saying you're calling me a grifter. I understand and appreciate your concern for the general public about all these people that are making these claims and they have nothing to back it up except their opinions and the hot air coming out of their mouths. That's the sad reality to what's actually going on, okay? I've actually worked with the people who, these researchers, they're rated the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. They've worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and NFL football players and celebrities and you name it, over 40 years of research. And they're the ones that came up and just said, diets are finished, they're over, they don't work, they never did, etc. Now, again, all of you, to show you even more proof about the ineffectiveness of diets, here's a big study. Again, you can all go look it up. It's in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It was a 12-month study, a year study. And the title was Comparison of Weight Loss Among Named Diet Programs in Overweight and Obese Adults. What they did, over 12 months, they looked at 48 different trials, 7,286 people. And they named in the study all the diets: paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, fasting, Cornish, macros, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, etc. And when they compared the most amount of weight loss in a year to the least amount, so they took a diet, these people lost the most amount of weight, the people lost the least amount of weight. In a year's time, the only difference across all these diets was 10 ounces of weight. And they lost 16 pounds in a year, and up to 25 to 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. So the diets you're on, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but wouldn't you rather know? Instead of continuing down this path, you're running right into a brick wall. I mean, 2/3 are going to end up weighing more than you do now. That's why in 1964, we only had 15% of America overweight and obese. You can go look it up. By 2024, we're already at 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. 50% of our kids are overweight. Now, a third of kids have type 2 diabetes, which didn't even exist 25 years ago. Is that crazy, or is it just me? So I'm 42, 531, so workout, hit with weights 6-7 days a week, mostly lean and green, water. Okay, but Heinz, how could we help you then? Mr. Ungi, how do we lose weight? I'm going to explain to you in just a moment. All right, so Mr. Yanagi, am I mispronouncing it? So I'm not quite sure, Heinz, what you're saying, because I'm not sure if you think that's a good weight for your height. You wouldn't want to know what I would tell you, but you don't have to listen to me. So everybody wants to know, how did she do it? Let's do that first, and then I promise, Heinz, I'll come back and answer personally whatever question, because this is live. This is not pre-recorded. All right, so Mr. Ungi and everybody else, okay? The researchers who created this are rated the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world after 40 years, 100 studies, thousands of people. They figured out why diets don't work. It was really pretty simple. It has nothing to do with counting calories. Zero to do. The human body has no idea what a calorie is. So let's put that aside for a moment. Your body runs on all of you, whether it's you, Heinz, or it's any, I'm not losing anything. The scale never moves. Okay, Heinz. So I'll come back to you, I promise. Just hang in there. Let me explain to you why this is so different and why this is so unique and why it's doing what it's doing, okay? So what the researchers figured out was that a diet can't work because of one principle. Your body runs on a minimum amount of nutrition. The brain, the heart, the kidney, all our organs. They don't run on calories, they run on nutrition. When you go on a diet, think about this for a moment. Pause, think about this. When you go on a diet, I don't know what the name of it is, you're reducing the quantity of the food you're consuming, or you're limiting, because we need fats, carbs, and proteins, believe it or not. But as far as carbohydrates, they have to be the right kind of carbohydrates. So even people, and we endorse the carnivore diet, where they're eating as much meat as they want, they're not getting the other necessary nutrients, period, end of the story, not up for discussion. So we enhance what people do when they're doing the carnivore diet. Let's put that aside. So what happens in your body when you reduce the amount of food you're consuming, or the nutrients in this case, your brain freaks out, goes in starvation mode, and begins to convert your muscles into fuel, no matter how much you work out. I don't care what you think is going on, that's what's happening because of the nutritional deficiency, all right? So then what happens? The brain has no choice. It slows down your metabolism. That's why you're not losing any more weight. Okay, your metabolism basically is turned off because your brain thinks you're in survival mode. It really is. It thinks you're surviving, prevents you from accessing the fuel stored in your fat cells. And let me clear up something for you, Heinz, and everybody else. There's no such thing as burning fat. Total lie. No, you're born with a certain number of fat cells, you die with a certain number of fat cells, and your fat cells can expand or contract, period, end of the story. I don't give you, run 100 miles, you're not losing any fat. You're going to lose muscle, but you're not going to lose fat. Okay, so the researchers said, wait a minute, is it possible that instead of just concentrating on giving people less food, could we find new food groups with more nutrition? That sounds too simple, but that's what they did. So they put together a grocery list for her and everybody else, Heinz or Chelsea or Mr. Ongi, whoever would do this, that you'd take to the grocery store. You would buy these foods, not from us, not from the researchers. The researchers don't have a company. They're scientists. They don't have anything to sell. There's no products here. This is food. And the researchers put together a list of proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving you calorie counts, they give you serving sizes. That was very important. Because remember, it doesn't have to do with the quantity. It has to do with the nutritional density in the foods you're going to consume. But they limited her only to 30% of the food from North America. Why? Because our food in North America is almost nutritionally bankrupt of nutrition. Look it up. You don't have to believe me. Here was the key. These researchers found other researchers who had gone, the other researchers gone around the world for the last 25 years and gone to remote areas like in Russia and Mongolia and Tibet, South America, New Zealand, and found foods with huge amounts of nutrition and in some case nutrients that don't even exist in North America. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to eat organic and I get these nutrients. No, there are nutrients like that came from Mongolia and from Russia and from Tibet that don't exist in North America. Okay? So they had 30% of the food from the grocery store she consumed and 70% from these, I call them exotic foods around the world. Then they created 2 new ways of you consuming the food. 5 days a week, you'd have 4 meals a day. You start with these exotic foods around the world. That's your breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and your last meal of the day from these exotic foods around the world. You do that 5 days a week, 4 meals a day. You think that happens on a diet? 2 days a week, you do something, now this will spin all of you. You do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store at all, none. So no proteins, fats, or from North America. Only these foods around the world, but this time, she and you and everybody that would do this, you get to eat 8 times a day. What? Yeah, you're eating every hour and a half. But you're getting large amounts of nutrition in very small quantities of food. Look at the results. I know you can think that's Photoshopped. You can think I'm making it up. You can think it's AI. You can think it's whatever. It's not, though. Heinz Clan, good. I'm glad you do appreciate this. Now, let me show you just a couple more, Heinz, to show you the kinds of things that are going on. Now, that's great. I mean, most women look at that and go, that's unbelievable. I'd love for any of you to put in the chat, if you wanted to lose 20 pounds, like in your case, Heinz, say you weren't on this. Well, already you're trying. You're going to the gym. You're doing everything you can. And it's not working. But it's not working because you have to understand you've basically stopped your metabolism. You're maintaining. That's why you can't lose any more weight. You don't have enough fuel for your body, for your brain to think it's safe to allow you to keep getting more of what you want, which is nutrition. It's not calories, okay? Now, I want to show you this. Wait till you see this, Heinz. That's an older gentleman. I'm not making this up. He lost 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. He was not allowed to exercise. And look at his blood work, Heinz. It went from 8.4 to 6.4. Triglycerides from 242 to 124. Day 1, day 3. Look at his stomach. Heinz, if you exercise, okay, so let's just say, I really would say so you're 162. Really, I'd rather have you probably about 135, but it's going to be 135 with muscle. I should have told you that. For example, despite not exercising at all, when they measured her and everybody else, they gained, Heinz, 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, lost no water weight. And the shrinkage there is because the fat cells shrank, not because the fat cells were reduced. That's very important. Like I said before, there's no such thing as burning fat. That's total nonsense. And for all of you, so Heinz, is it making sense? Am I making sense? And then Heinz, I want to show you, all of you, before maybe you have to jump off. But see, this is the cover of Women's World that came out May 20th, just like 5 days ago. These are a mom and daughter. I coached them. The daughter, who's 57, lost 51 pounds in about 3 months. The mom lost 91 pounds in 9 months, and they've kept it off for 2.5 years. But Heinz, the key is right above the article, you see it, the new health conversation. That's the free medical website to go to. There's nothing to buy there. There's no buy buttons, and we will not contact you, Heinz, if you go there. But notice right above in black, it says free coaching. If you go there, Heinz, and you like what you see, because the medical proof is there, there's more before and afters of athletes, etc., and you can get a free coach, and they'll go over the food list, what you order from the grocery store. And if you decide to do it, they'll show you how to order, not from the coaches, but directly from the suppliers. And then they'll show you, I didn't share this with everybody yet, this is what the researchers created. It's called the Blueprint for Success. And all of these yellows here are daily tutorials from the researchers explaining to you what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's safe. They have no, why would they be interested in this? Because they don't have anything to sell. They don't have any financial gain if you do this or not. Because number one, they're buying from your local grocery store, and you're buying directly from these other suppliers, not from them. How you do this is as important as what you're actually going to be consuming. And now, Heinz, let me show you an athlete just to show you what's possible here. He didn't have a lot of weight to lose. Now, he did exercise. Look at that, Heinz. Day 1 on the left. Pretty good darn shape. Middle picture, that's the morning of day 5, Heinz. That's 4 days. And then day 12 is the morning of that's 11 days. Heinz, look at that transformation in 11 days. And obviously, he exercised. So obviously, if you're exercising, you can exercise on this, right? Mr. Ungi, does that make sense to you? Do you understand where to go? Yeah, Heinz, I agree. How would you like to look like that in 11 days, Heinz? I'm just asking you. Put it in the chat. Let me know, right? Now, Heinz, before people think I photoshopped that picture, I kind of know that person, Heinz. That's my youngest son at 40 years of age. Look at that transformation. Isn't that incredible, Heinz? Is that just even more incredible? So I'm going to go back to Ungi and everybody else. I want you to understand the key to this whole thing, hold on, is right above the article. That's the cover of Women's Day magazine, the #1 women's magazine in the world, by the way. Huge deal to get on the cover, and a big story inside about how they did this. But I'm kind of explaining to you how they did it. So you can see in blue the New Health Conversation. That's a free medical website you can go to, and you can get a free coach. You scroll down. If you like what you see, we're not going to contact you. No, we're not there to convince you, twist your arm, make any medical proclamations at all. But the medical proof is there. There's an interview with the #1 nutrition physiologist, weight loss researcher in the world, rated #1. Rated #1. Ellie Mae. Who the heck is Heinz? Ellie Mae. Who the heck is Heinz? Heinz. Did I say Heinz? I meant to say Heinz, Ellie. He's right there commenting. He's working out at the gym every day, and no matter what he does, he can't get below, he can't lose any weight. That's what we were talking about. Oh, no, Heinz was talking about Ellie. Just so you know, I was just showing the picture of my son in 11 days from day 1 to day 12. Well, it's the morning of day 12, so 11 days. Look at that transformation. It's not Photoshopped unless people think that I would Photoshop my own son to mess this up. So Ellie Mae, does that make sense? That's who I've been talking to right there. You can see it above your name, Heinz Clan Sam. Sorry, Heinz Clan Sam. And Mr. if I'm mispronouncing your name, I apologize. It's only because I don't know how to pronounce your name. So it's not that I'm being disrespectful. But you see, for all of you, including you, Ellie, what we're talking about is they all can go and see the medical proof at the web. That's the cover of Women's Day magazine, Ellie. Those two ladies, women, I coached them. The lady on the right, that's the daughter. She's 57 years old. She lost 51 pounds in 90 days. Her mom lost 90 pounds in about 9 months, and they've both kept it off now for 2.5 years. But the main thing for all of you, for free, that website, the New Health Conversation, you can all go there and see the medical proof. It's right there in front of all of you. So how cool is that, everybody, right? So who else has a question for me? Well, we're at 3,500 likes, so I guess I'm doing something good this morning. So if you like the content you're hearing, tap on the screen. Gosh, allergies. Sorry about that, everybody. Now you know it's live. It's not fake, okay? Well, who else would like to ask me a question? Who else would like to know maybe, okay, how did she do that? How'd she lose 21 pounds and 38 inches in a month? This is the daughter of a friend of mine. Is that the same woman? I would ask any of you, like Ellie Mae or anybody. Do you think it's the same woman? Because according to that, she lost 60 pounds in 3 months. Is it the same woman? Well, it's the daughter of a friend of mine who's a realtor. I know her, at least the girl on the left. But who's the girl on the right? It's the same woman. It's the same woman. It's not Photoshop. But how many of you can even believe that's possible, 60 pounds in 3 months? Have any of you ever seen anything like that? Have you ever been on any diet where you even, look, most people are saying, if I ask them, how long would it take you to lose 20 pounds? Minimum 3, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year. That's how low the standard is, because we're doing diets based on counting calories, and counting calories has no basis in medical fact. Why? Because somebody earlier was saying that they had the definition of a calorie. They were close, but they didn't have the actual technical definition. See, a calorie is not a real thing. It's just a measurement. That's all it is. And why you're counting calories on all these diets, I don't know, because here's the thing. Let's talk about the failure of diets based on a new big study in Medicare. Let me read some of the new people about, if you're on a diet right now, you're counting calories, reducing calories, you'd think that's a way to lose weight. Well, here's what Medicare said about that. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. The researchers in Medicare reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted, calories in, calories out diets to assess whether these forms of dieting had any effect, were an effective treatment for obesity. The study showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on these diets. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. So you're all going on diets, you're counting calories, and according to Medicare and other studies, I've got other studies that say exactly the same thing, that losing weight through diet and exercise and sustaining it in the long term is vanishingly unusual. Not only that, but most people between 1/3 and 2/3 wound up heavier than they started. I've got 9 or 10 studies that are all saying the same thing, that the conclusion on these diets, calories in, calories out, that 2/3 of you are going to weigh more than when you started. Why are you counting calories? Because you don't know what else to do. You don't know how to do this. Would you like to learn how to do this? Would you like to know how you could do that? Would you like to know, just at a minimum, how about being able to lose 5 pounds a week safely and be able to keep it off with no exercise? Because that's what she did. So I'd love more comments, or I'd love more taps. We're at 3,500. Let's see if we can get to 4,000. I've now been on for an hour and almost 20 minutes. I'll stay a little bit longer, and then probably I'll do, let's see, noon. I'll probably do the next live around, let's say, 1 o'clock today, 1 Eastern Standard Time, okay? Would anybody else like to ask me a question? All right, if that's the case, then I want to wish all of you a good day, night, evening, because this podcast I know goes all over the world. And I would encourage all of you in closing, if you want to know the real, see the medical proof, go to the new Health Conversation. It's free to go there. There's nothing to buy. We won't contact you to go there. The only way that we will contact you is if you scroll down and get a free coach. You get a free coach on that site. All right, everybody? Everybody, have a wonderful day, and I'll be back on 1 Eastern Standard